Tonight's episode of the 31st Lap Podcast is brought to you by DirtTrackDigest.com. If it's on dirt, it's on Dirt Track Digest.
This is the 31st Lap Podcast, recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now, your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the 31st Lap. We are coming to you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, while most of the rest of the racing world is taking in all the action over there at the Rolling Wheels Raceway Park. July the 23rd marks the Military and Armed Forces Appreciation Night over there at Rolling Wheels. Page Trucking representing a 50-lapper for the modifieds. The Grit Sportsman Series joining some national limelight as well. And the Patriot Sprint also on the card over there at Rolling Wheels Raceway. So that's where Mike and John are. 50 laps for the modifieds, 5,000 to win, 300 start, not too bad if you make it into that A-Main Patriot Sprint Tour presented by A Verdi. 25-lap feature, 2,500 to win there, 250 to start. Grit Sportsman, it's the Tug Edge 20,000 to win, 100 to start right there. Gates were open at 4 o'clock. Racing squarely underway right now. You still got a chance if you want to shut this thing off, come back to it. It will be available online, just like always with the 31st lap. And it's only, adult admission, $20. Active military veterans, only $10 to get in. Veterans over 60, only $5 to get in. Kids get in for $10 if they're over 11 years old, 10 and under. They get in no problem. Check it out, Rolling Wheels Raceway, man. Coming back from the brink with the sounds of things. You know, it looked really, really, really bad there for a while, but now they got a couple races under their belt. Again, a lot of the action over there being filmed for Rush Hour on Dirt, and a lot of that activity is eventually going to air on MAV TV. So it's kind of cool the way that didn't take long for Rolling Wheels to jump back to the forefront, and now there's a little bit of a hubbub about the events that could possibly be taking place during Super Dirt Week. We're going to try and get a little bit more on that. Mike and John, as we alluded to, they are at Rolling Wheels right now, taking in the action over there. Mike has been all over the place here this last week. I don't know if you've been following him on online, following his Twitter updates and Facebook updates. It's been remarkable, the amount of states that he's taken races in at, and I can't wait to catch up with him. This is, again, the 31st lap, episode number 166, going in the books. It's going to be a bit of a short episode, as I said, because everybody is over there at Rolling Wheels. Recap of what we saw last weekend. A lot of you guys already know what happened. Stacey Jackson returning with the Batmobile, as they call it. Herbie Wright's car is back in victory lane over at Black Rock Speedway. Brady Fultz gave chase ahead of Ron Cartwright and Steve Payne. Tyler Seary, condolences go out to Steve Payne, by the way, losing his mother unexpectedly on our week off. We are now back, and for the foreseeable future, we're going to be on in a regular occurrence here through the rest of the racing season, as we are already starting to eye some of these local points championships, with Labor Day usually standing as the end of the regular season. Brewerton and Spencer, they rained out last Friday, so hopefully they can get their action in coming up this week. Fulton, Billy Decker, what a feature that was, man. With 10 to go, he was fourth. Jimmy Phelps, he was cutting down Matt Fink's lead, and Jimmy Phelps ended up taking the lead on lap 26, so that gave us only 9 to go. Billy Decker was third at that point. He ended up second on lap 28, so 7 to go. He's tailing Matt Fink, just on top of him. Matt Fink ends up wobbling. That lets Decker get back in front of him. Everybody else starts throwing the kitchen sink at Decker. Jimmy Phelps ends up third in the order. Matt Fink hangs on to second. Larry White and Pat Ward charged up to pick up top 5 spots. Justin Ayers coming away with a win over at Canandaigua Motorsports Park. It was his second one. Matt Shepard and Tim Fuller chased him in another barn burner. We've had so many last lap pass finishes and all sorts of crazy finishes here as we hit midsummer stride here for all these local tracks and the action. Every track you go to, just through the roof, and Canandaigua not disappointing with Justin Harris coming away with a win. Matt Greary came away with a win in the sportsman division, which was cool to see. You know, Matt Greary, he's really come on strong. Steve Pasaric, what a resurgence his career's had, coming away with his third feature in a row in the street stock action. Eric Chapman winning the pure stock feature. And local note, individual from Romulus, Eric Carlson, winning his first ever 305 feature at Canandaigua Motorsports Park over the weekend, so congratulations to him. Just about 2 minutes away, we're going to be catching up with Todd Hight. You probably said who, and that's the name that you heard a lot on the Crash Course, which airs here on Figure Lakes 1 On Monday nights, Todd Hight active with Steelerface Racing, getting ready to jump into the Circle Track ranks, being tabbed to drive a Pro Stock at the legendary Fonda Speedway. And you don't typically see the drivers from the Demolition Derby world being tabbed to drive cars that are not intended to get destroyed. And it's going to be an interesting conversation coming up here in just a few minutes with Steelerface Racing's Todd Hight. Recapping some more local stuff over at Oswego. Dave Danzer winning his first of the year, claiming the 50-lap Summer Championship. He was 10th, and he was leading by lap 9. So that was rather convincing victory for Dave Danzer. And he ended up battling a little bit with Michael Barnes and Bob Bond, but ultimately Dave Danzer untouchable over there at the Oswego Speedway. Let's go ahead and fix that real quick. There we go. We're going to swap out the camera for a moment and keep on rolling here. Mark Castiglia turned a season of misfortunes, man. He's had a rough go of it and finally turned that around, leading flag to flag. It was his 5th career small block super feature. It gives him the Summer Championship credits for 2015. So good to see him winning that. Anthony Lacerdo and Jack Patrick filling the top 3 for Castiglia. It was his first win dating back to June 2013. So it's been a long dry spell for him, so he certainly was due. Good to see that. Sunday over at Utica Rome, Matt Shepard ends up coming home 3rd and continues to lead the points there, even though his closest competitors finished ahead of him in that order. Pat Ward coming away with the win with Larry White right on his heels. Touring news, Stu Friesen won the Super Dirt Kart Series, greatest driver 65. He got past Pat Ward, another final lap pass for the win for Friesen. He did it in the sprint cars here a couple weeks ago when during the CNY Speed Weeks. Got past him on the final corner. That was last Tuesday night. Ward led all but 2 of the first 64 laps, and he started outside the front row. Friesen rolled off 9th, but it worked a second by lap 35, and it took him all the way to the final checkered flag. Took him all 30 laps to try and find his way past Pat Ward. They were in Drummond and Granby this week as well. Let me jump online here quick, and I forgot to update those. There we go. We'll pull this stuff up right quick and update that deal. So as we talked about, July the 14th, Stu Friesen came away with that win, his second tour win of the year. Brett Hearn winning in Drummondville, and over at Granby they rained that one out, so that one did not roll off. So at this point, Matt Shepard continues to show the way in the points based on going back the tiebreakers to top 5s. Matt Shepard is 3 points up on Billy Decker, Jimmy Phelps, Danny Johnson, Brett Hearn, now following in the order. At this juncture, only a 3-point separation for Shepard and Decker as they continue to just go toe-to-toe, relentless battle at the front of that pack. Looking closer at the schedule. Moving on, we've got the Bob Cinema Memorial coming up on the 3rd of August in Thorold, Ontario, Merrittville. And then Tuesday, August 4th is the Alex Friesen Summer Nationals over at Ransomville. August 6th, the Hall of Fame 100 in Weedsport. August 12th is the rescheduled big show from the 7th of July at Albany, Saratoga, Weedsport with the Hall of Fame 100. Busy stretch right here as we get closer and closer to rounding out the season at what could very likely be the final Super Dirt Week at the New York State Fairgrounds. We'll have to, hopefully there'll be some miracle comes through and get us away from this nastiness, but it's not looking real good. Looking like those fairgrounds are going to be torn down. Now, the topic of Todd Hight, we're going to be catching up with here momentarily. Demolition Derby guy, also the State Fair Demolition Derby, also now in question, which has been a hallmark for drivers in that type of elimination motorsports all over the state. The goal of theirs was to win at Syracuse, much like the modified or sportsman or pro stock guys want to win at the mile. Those guys want to win at Syracuse too, and the future of that is likewise in question. We talked about Friesen. He won the Super Dirt Car Series. He also won last Friday at Albany, Saratoga, winning with the Empire Super Sprints, which they were busy here this week as well. Pull up their schedule quickly as we go through. Finding our spot again here. Friesen won in a weird way. He was out in front running second at this point while Chuck Hebing was all by himself, and Hebing spun out. Full 360, Friesen streaks by him, rolls off, and rattles off a win there. Coming up next for ESS, they are going to be at Mohawk International Raceway. Racing starts at 7:30 on that 4/10 mile track coming up on Friday. So that gives you a little taste of what went on this week. Gives you a little taste of what's going on right now. Again, it's over at Rolling Wheels Raceway Park. They are doing the 50-lapper for the modifieds, $5,000 to win. Jump on this quickly. And having some technical problems. Hang on with me just 1 second here. All right, here we go. So we talked a little bit about Fonda Speedway on this show a number of times at different junctures. John, having worked there, we've had the promoters of Matt DiLorenzo of Fonda on the show a number of different times, and the place is legendary, Track of Champions. And now Todd Hight, who's joining us here on the Dirt Track Digest hotline, is got an opportunity to go turn some laps there in a pro stock that was formerly raced and owned by his uncle. Todd, man, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Chris.
You bet. I'm glad you were able to squeeze in some time for us. I know work's been absolutely crazy for you the last 10 days, and you've been busy and running your backside off. So thanks for squeezing us in.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You excited about this? I mean, typically you're going as fast as possible to collide into something, and now you're looking to go as fast as possible around a track that many drivers dream of winning at.
Right. It's something that I wanted to do for many years. It's been a lifelong dream, and I really, really can't wait for the moment. Like, hop in the seat and
have you had the opportunity? Have you had the opportunity to go over and actually sit in the car that's eventually going to have your name over the door?
I have. I've spent a long time sitting there staring at it and wondering what it would be like and fantasizing driving that thing. So, very excited about doing this.
So this is your uncle's car. How did this whole deal come about?
Well, to be honest with you, he built it with intentions of driving it, and I was down to his house, and we got to talking about demolition derbies and whatnot, and and before you know it, he was very adamant about this car being for me. He wants to see me behind the wheel, and he wants to pass down the torch, I guess.
So what's that say to you? I mean, it's got to come with a little bit of pressure, being a car that your uncle had built. Actually, we didn't mention his name. I mean,
it's a family thing. So I mean, I guess there's not too much pressure. I do want to succeed, I guess, in anything I do. But I just, like I said, it's a lifelong dream, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's something I can't wait to do.
Your uncle, we didn't mention his name.
Dale Kennedy.
Dale Kennedy, and this is a guy that you've grown up with quite a bit. I mean, you're fairly close to Dale.
Yes. He used to do demolition derbies and at the county fairs here, and always did the racing. Started out with the pro stocks, street stocks, jumped up to sportsman, and eventually made his way up to the wind sprints. And I guess as he got older, he just wanted to do a little bit at a time. But he built this car and from the ground up, and it's brand new, ready to go. I haven't had one lap on it yet.
You nervous?
I'm very nervous, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm used to crashing stuff, and the object of this is to maintain and try to finish clean.
So at this point, what's more expensive, building cars to crash or building cars to go fast and turn left?
Well, I think that it's building cars to win. I guess ultimately, no matter what you build, you can put a price tag on it and just keep going and going. But derby cars that we do, it's inexpensive. It's nowhere near what it's going to cost to run this race car.
That's for sure. You're not going to be pulling up to the local mobile and filling it up on the way to the track. No, probably not. Who knows? You might. But like you said, if you want to go out there,
yeah, right. We might.
If you can. I mean, I don't know how it's going to work out for you, but by all means, feel free.
Right.
You're no stranger to Fonda. You went there. You and Dale had gone there a ton of times as you were growing up, and then you sort of drifted away from the circle track stuff a little bit here as you became more of an adult. But now you sort of started to drift back to it.
Can you say it again?
Growing up with Dale, right. Dale had taken you to Fonda as a young guy, as a kid. coming up through. So you're no stranger to Fonda. You know what legend comes with that track and how prolific it is to even have the opportunity to compete there. You've seen tons of races there. I mean, what do you think of the track itself?
Well, again, that's more or less a hometown track. It's always been something you dream about when you're a kid. You're saying someday I'm going to race that track, and to see greats like Lou Lazaro and Jack Johnson to race there, and that'd be something special just to be able to say you did it.
Are these cars going to be orange and black as well?
I'm thinking so. And
Yeah.
We got to carry that on. That's still your face color. So.
Well, it's also Jumpin' Jack colors.
Also, yes indeed. He was orange and black, though, wasn't he? We're black and orange.
Oh, okay. I got you. makes perfect sense when you put it that way.
Right.
Was Jack one of your favorites when you were a kid going there?
Oh, sure. It was hard not to root against him. He was pretty dominant down there, and
John
really liked watching him race.
John, when he was here on a regular basis, he would talk at length about what a great rivalry it was between Jack Johnson and Dave Lape over there, and he just the sun rises
It was
and
another
set.
one to watch. He was fun too. They definitely had their rivals going.
It was a lot of fun. Rocky Warner's another guy that's had some success over there. He's moved up into the sportsman ranks now, but he's run pro stocks and was unstoppable in those, and now having a lot of success in the sportsman cars now. We see Stu Friesen, who's run very well there. Bobby Varon's another guy. Danny Varon looking strong in pretty much anything he sits in. These are all guys that have turned laps over there at Fonda. In addition to the litany of talented drivers that have come out of that through the formative years of dirt motorsports in the 70s and through the 80s. How long has it been since you've regularly been to Fonda Speedway? When was the last time you had the chance to get over there just taking a race?
We went. Actually, we haven't made it down there this year. Our schedule's kind of been packed with the Demolition Derby stuff. But it was last year we went down. I typically like to go down more than once a year. I make it down quite a few times. But like I said, with the schedule we've had and whatnot, and work, I really haven't been able to connect as much as I would like to. But hopefully, when I get down there, it's to race.
What are some of your best memories in going to the track as a spectator?
Yeah, seeing my uncle. It was always quite the thrill. You think that he superstars. You watch him and you say, "Man, I know him. That's my uncle," and that was always quite a thrill.
He's a hero to you.
Absolutely. Really look up to him. He's been a major inspiration on me and the things I do, and hopefully someday I can be nearly as successful as he's been. So,
well, you're a young guy. You got plenty of time, right?
yeah.
What motor's going to be in the pro stock?
To be honest with you, I really don't know the finer details of it. I really don't. I don't know anything like that right now.
So it's not going to be one of them that you pulled out of. It's not going to be one of them that you pulled out of one of your minivans.
No, definitely not. It's not a crate motor either. It's something that he built. He's assured me that this thing will move. So I take his good word for it. If he tells me that, I believe it.
I mean, the building of this car has been a labor of love. Dale has done everything in terms of the design of this car. He has built the car front to back, and he's got the motor that's going into it that he had his hands into as well. It's an interesting story, the way that this whole thing has come together, and it's taken some time to a point. Do you remember when he started building this car?
Well, it's been a couple years. It's something that he's taken his time with, I guess, from all his knowledge from all the other cars he's built. This has kind of been his baby. And that's why I'm kind of nervous, I guess, because again, this is his baby. But like I said, at the same time, we're family, and hopefully he's passing the torch down, and I can try to be successful like he was. So,
have you ever had the opportunity to run laps around Fonda?
I did when I was younger. I did Sportsman. We did a hot lap, and that was about it. But since then, no, it's been a Demolition Derby cars. So
do you have any racing experience other than just turning some hot laps in that Sportsman car?
Absolutely not. No.
But you got to jump in with both feet, right?
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Got to jump in and think positive, and I just got to listen to him. You know, he knows best, and he's trying to describe the track. You know, like you said, from an aerial view, it kind of looks like a big D.
Mm-hmm.
3 and 4, I suppose, is a little bit bigger swoop. But I'm not sure. Like I said, that's just something that I'm going to try. And if I do it, then you know what? That's something that I wanted to do for a long time in my life, and I can say that I did it.
So how many times since he offered the helmet to you, how many times have you watched Days of Thunder and put yourself into the seat?
Quite a few times.
Put yourself into the situation of Tom Cruise, right? There's nothing you can't do in a race car.
That's right. I'm going high, Harry.
That's awesome. Well, I'm thrilled for you. I think you're gonna have a ton of fun. John King.
Me too.
John King gets in and around a lot of those circles too. John King from King Demolition Derbies. He works as a flagger at Utica, and he's
right.
in and around all that stuff at Fonda as well. A lot of fun to see some of this crossover happening. We talked about Bo Lockwood a ton of times here on this show. They've been pushing around 35 late models for the last couple of weeks down at Thunder Mountain Speedway in Pennsylvania. And Bo's a guy that you and I have had a lot of conversations about. We're going to go see him this weekend, for that matter, at the Jefferson County Fair. But there's a little bit more. I mean, not a ton of it, but there's a little bit more of that overlap and that crossover, which is good to see.
Yep, absolutely.
So what's next for you, aside of climbing into the pro stock? Where are things at now? I know we got the Herkimer Fair coming up here soon.
We've got the Herkimer County Fair. We've got a couple more we got to do yet, and probably 3 more, maybe 4. We're not sure yet, but that's probably going to be it for the season. 3 or 4 more. That
4th one that's up in the air is Stoneboro Fair in Pennsylvania, I heard.
Yeah, that's all I've heard. So I have heard. I've looked into it, and I've got to really look into it some more. It's you're talking like big guys, so I've got to really make sure I've got my stuff together before I go down there and get my head decapitated.
Yeah, that's probably true. But man, I'm hoping for the best for you. And when this pro stock thing, when it comes together, is it something where you're just planning on running one night just at Fonda, or if this thing takes off a little bit, you're going to try and travel a little?
Well, we'll see where it takes us. We're not exactly sure. We don't have no schedule or nothing yet. But
right.
Again, I'd like to try to run the hometown tracks. I'm right between Fonda and Utica Rome, so
right.
Utica Rome is definitely somewhere that I'd like to try. And then from there, we'll see where it takes us. This is something that, it's one thing at a time. And I still got to get in the car yet.
What is the final timeline at this point? I mean, is it looking like you're going to get in the car this year?
Well, we haven't been able to connect yet. There's been a couple different mitigating circumstances. And, we will do it this year. We will. Again, we're not out for points. This is something that you just got to start somewheres. And once we find out when and where, I will let everybody know and take it from there.
Maybe not a bad time to jump in the seat now, because the tracks typically at this point of the year, they've already kind of got to a point where they're settled down. You're not going to encounter a lot of that rough stuff. They're dry,
right.
Slick, and you're also going to be in the midst of handicapping, so you'll be able to fall in
right.
at the rear behind everybody else anyway, get some seat time in.
Perfect. Yep, that's good.
Last thing you want to do is get crossed up at the
and let me try to learn.
Last thing you want to do is start on the pole.
No, not right now. Not right now. I won't need a rear view mirror just yet.
Just go down.
Get out there and try it and see where it takes me. I mean, I'm kind of confident. Everybody's got to go into it confident. If you weren't confident, then you shouldn't be in it.
True.
Like you said, the handicap put me in the back. That's fine. I'll just be able to get out there and try it, and that'll be great.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
Can't get that calendar to move fast enough, can you?
No, not at all.
Awesome. I mean, is there anybody that you wanted to make mention of here other than Dale Kennedy, who's putting you in the car?
Well, my teammates and from Stereo Face Racing, they help me out a bunch. No matter what we do, we're a team. We're a bunch of friends, and we stick together. So when this takes off, those guys will be right by my side. You know, my family and friends for being supportive, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on the show and talk about that.
Well, it's a great story. I mean, the crossover angle is compelling, but the fact that it's a family deal with Dale opening the car door for you and saying, here's the helmet, I've worked on this thing for a couple of years, I want you to go do it justice at a place like Fonda Speedway. That's awesome. You know, it's a great situation, and I hope it pans out well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Hey, man, we'll catch up with you soon, okay?
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Have a good night.
For that matter, I'll see you Saturday morning.
Yes, you will.
All right, Todd. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
There goes Todd Hight, driving a Pro Stock over at the Fonda Speedway. Coming up here before the end of the season, you'll see his debut in the Dale Kennedy prepared Pro Stock entry. So kind of exciting for him. I know it's something he's wanted to do for a long, long time. Now he's got the opportunity to get his feet wet with that, and we'll have to chart his progress as we move along here through the second half, back half of the season. I guess at this point we're already past the middle of July. But just checking things out. I haven't got a whole lot of information to share with you at this point from Rolling Wheels, but what we'll probably do is back this thing down and buckle up for next Thursday and get everybody back in here and talk about what a busy month of July it has been. So that is going to do it for episode number 166 of the 31st Lap Podcast. We appreciate you hanging out with us, and we will see you right back here next week.